This is old number 4.
Oh, number 4.
They used to say that would pull anything as loose at both ends, you remember? There's the old boarding house and the high school, and there's a railroad station. This is the sawmill itself, and there's the pond and the logs. You worked in that mill, and I did too. Laverne did too, worked on the carriage. I worked on the carriage.
We came with this company that had been up in Pennsylvania. I guess they just brought the whole town just about with them when they came, and because they had sawed logs and things out up there. And they bought this tract of land here so they could start another sawmill.
I stayed till it sawed out. We cut the last logs. That was in 1928 when they sawed out. I don't remember just a month. I think it was just before Christmas, wasn't it, Rudy?
Yeah, I don't know. I was gone.
Yeah, and we knew that we were going to have to go somewhere else, of course, and it makes things look a little different. I don't know, you just have a feeling that it's all over.
Early in this century, most of the forests of the East had been cut over. Many of these forests were devastated, and this had severe local and regional impacts. When this same pattern of exploitation appeared in the West, we began to realize that the forests were not limitless, but were in fact vulnerable natural systems. In response, Congress authorized the President to set aside portions of the public domain as forest reserves, later to become the national forests. National forests are different from national parks. National parks stress preservation of unique natural and historic areas. In contrast, national forests stress use. You can harvest timber, drill for oil and mine minerals, graze livestock, hunt and fish, and explore wilderness. So while the national forests are protected, they are also managed to meet our varied needs. This concept of management is crucial to an understanding of what the national forests are all about. Managing a forest means coordinating the demands of society, both present and future, with the natural limits of the land. It's a complicated task. Both land and society are constantly changing systems. There are many kinds of forests with different capabilities. There are many groups in society with different needs. The national forests are supposed to be responsive to all the people, to be sensitive to local needs as well as national goals. Yet even in a single community, people want different things from a forest. And what you want from a forest tends to influence how you see it. There are over 150 national forests throughout the country, and in each one, questions about how best to use the forest are being debated. Look at Oregon, for example, where the last extensive stands of large old trees are in national forests. The fate of these trees is an important issue here.
Look at that. This creek is just beautiful.
Come on, Whit.
most of our friends enjoy different aspects of the environment, whether it be mountain climbing or rock climbing, wildflowers or mushrooms. When I came back to Roseburg 3 years ago, the National Forest had changed. That the forest might be destroyed scares me. I want my children to be able to take their children into Boulder Creek and say, my mother was here, my grandmother was here.
And the weatherman said it was going to rain.
Where does he know?
Land use decisions on the Umpqua National Forest are being made today and will most likely be finished within 2 years. If no areas on our forest are preserved for wilderness, there's a good chance they never will be. Our fear is if the areas are opened for logging, they will decrease the size of the area, road it, and then they will never qualify for wilderness designation again.
You'll hear the reasons why these areas aren't so important, but to counter those with some sort of measurable terms that you can express quotas in or objectives or whatever, it's something that you can't do, and it's something that you shouldn't have to do, but everyone expects it.
It ends up being our religion. That's the religion that we give to our children. We teach them that man isn't here to conquer everything, that we are in fact a visitor here.
It's in my pocket.
Okay.
And that we
See, I got one, don't I?
and that we each have our place, and we visit this place and we respect this place, and we all have our niches. We don't have to conquer the world. We come here to visit.
People says bad things about loggers, but they don't understand what a logger is. You can't talk them out of it, and they don't want to come out and look because they don't want to get involved. I started working in the brush when I was 17 for a living. I've worked my way up to be a cutter, which I guess is supposed to be a pretty good job, but I enjoy it. I've been cutting trees for 8 years now, and it's a challenge to me. Putting a tree down between two stumps is a couple, 3 feet apart, and not breaking the tree, or have a patch of reprod out in front of you, and you work a half a day on a tree to get it out of that reprod to save the little trees. It's a challenge. I enjoy being able to do it and have somebody walk up and pat me on the back and say, you done a good job. You saved these little trees, or you didn't break that tree. And that's my enjoyment of it. We're trying to fight to keep it the way we have always wanted it and always had it. The sooner we can cut a big tree down, the better it is, because you can plant some more in its place. People don't understand that. To them, it's pretty. Of course it's pretty. I like looking at them. It's real pretty. But you don't go out in your garden after you spend all summer making it grow and then just harvesting half of it and letting the tomatoes stand there on a vine and rot off because it's pretty, you know. It'd be senseless. That's a waste of money and a waste of time. There's just no sense in it.
It's a constant worry how much logging they're going to let you do in the future. All these people that is working in the woods, they live here, they raise their families here. Their children go to school here, and they pay taxes and enjoy life just the same as everybody else. This is their home. Just like myself, I got a wife and 2 children that I support. I own my own truck, and I have to stand all my own expenses. And I truthfully feel that they're making a big mistake throwing all these areas into the wilderness area, because it's definitely going to cut us short of timber in the future. One of these days, it might be a great concern, not only to me as a logger or a log hauler, but to the whole lumber industry. And you know how that chain goes. It goes right on down to the folks that is building houses.
I came to Roseburg 30 years ago to build this plant. We're producing 50,000 2-foot boards a day. We produce 50,000 sheets of plywood, 1/2 inches thick. We produce 50 houses daily in total lumber production. What that means in terms of the forest, it means that we would be using 5 acres of forest land, growing 1,500 trees per day. The mills need the timber supply for their existence. The community needs the mills for employment. The whole economic base depends on the forest products industry, which is 90% of all manufacturing in the area. We talk of multiple use. We talk of the forest of many uses. But we have to give primary consideration to the local communities and supplement this need for livelihood with the other interests, rather than vice versa, of saying it's only here to play in and frolic in, but not to earn a livelihood.
Timber people here point out that the old-growth forests long ago reached maturity and are now ready to be cut. But wilderness advocates see enormous richness in these forests as they are. Forest managers have to do more than simply respond to these different visions and interests. They have to consider the forest itself, understanding that every forest is a complicated natural system.
I'm a forest scientist and ecologist that's spent my career studying forests of all types, including old-growth forests. We thought we knew really everything about old-growth forest. In fact, the matter, you know, we didn't know the first thing about it. We haven't even really known up until very recently, you know, that it served any valuable purpose at all. Now they've begun to appreciate, you know, hey, wildlife have to have snags. They're beginning to even realize, hey, wildlife have to have down logs too. And the next step beyond that is, while that log's rotten, there's also nitrogen fixation going on there. There are other kinds of creatures besides the ones you shoot at. There are other things besides board feet. There are useful kinds of processes to humans as well as to the system as a whole.
I've worked in the woods since summer I got out of high school. Been riding to work here and riding to work there. I can do just about any of it.
There's a lot of squabbling going on. All the different sides. They're saying, I want this, and give us that, and we got to have this. And they're all talking in terms of what I want out of it for me now.
We got to look at things different. We got to look at things according to what we've got, not according to how we'd like it to be. And we're going to have to take a lot more thoughtful look at how everything's hooked together. We're going to start running out of timber one way or the other. But it seems like if we keep on cutting the way we have been, it's going to happen a lot sooner and a lot bigger. A generation ago, you could walk to just about any of these ridges, and all you could see was timber, like waves on the ocean. The ridges were covered with timber. And you go up there now, and except in the National Forest, all you're going to see is cut over ground. Now, maybe a lot of it's coming back. but a lot of it's not. And who's to say what's going to be like around here? But that's what I like about planting trees. I got to earn a living, like all of us, but I can earn a living doing something positive in the whole equation. You can get a nice tree out of your bag here. Keep the roots protected. The wind will dry them out. Just a few seconds will do it. And then pull the hodad up at the bottom, and then pull the whole thing out away from the hole. And as you do, you put the tree down in there, but it's got to be one motion. And you just got to do it until you do it. And when you get it right, you'll know if that tree's in there right. You'll just feel it. Boom, it's in.
By cutting old-growth forests too rapidly, we could change the character of these lands for generations, and also risk running short of timber before enough second growth is ready for harvest, threatening the survival of the local timber industry as well. That's a good argument for being careful about the rate of cutting old growth, and a good reason for increased investment in timber management and reforestation of both public and private lands. We have a chance here to use what we've learned from the past, acknowledging that these forests are too important to devote to short-term needs alone. Needs change, and these changes can be dramatic. Consider the eastern national forests. Lands once cut out and then abandoned have grown back and are again in demand, and not only for timber. 174 million people live in metropolitan areas within a day's drive of an eastern national forest. Day to day, these people cope with crowds, noise, and pollution. For many of them, time off is time to get away, and the national forest offers something increasingly precious: escape.
Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joy shall never end.
You want to go camping, you want to go camping. If you want to stay home, you stay home, you know. Go out and build your fire on the ground and take your old cast iron skillets and have at it. Have a ball. Really let your hair down and relax till you can do your work when you get back home.
Well, at one time, I'd quit a job to go in the woods if the notion struck me. I'd just tell them, the boss that I had traveling fever, and if I'd see him again someday, and I'd take off. And I used to hunt half the time and fish half the time, and work the rest of the time. It's getting to be almost a necessity, I think, for a person to be able to seek change. So my advice would be is just to get out and live with it. Don't just follow the trail of the crowd. Get off more or less to yourself. Find little odd spots that you can just say, well, now, I don't know whether anybody's ever looked at this place for years and years or not. I'm looking at something that's uncommon, that's unique. You don't hear an automobile horn. You don't hear a fire siren. You don't see any smoke. You just feel like you're out with nature as it was meant to be.
coming to a place here where you can see the scenic drive that we're planning. The drive is planned to give visitors a way to get to the various activity areas that we have planned. And also, the National Recreation Area will have approximately 5 million visitor days when it's fully developed of use. This will bring on more traffic to the area, and we'd like to keep the local roads as pleasant as they are right now. It's hard to generalize about this kind of thing, but you might say that we really have two different kinds of populations here. One is people who come from the large urban areas here in the south and east, and then you have people who live here in the mountains and have lived here for some time. Now, it's a real challenge for the Forest Service to meet the needs of the urban populations and to do it in such a way that you don't destroy the things that are important locally. This is kind of one of the focal places of the whole National Recreation Area. Right below us is the community of White Top. You can see some of the private and open land down there. On down the valley is a community of Conarock, and on down this ridge here is National Forest. The boundary of the National Forest is pretty much at the foot of this mountain. It's quite obvious to see with a community such as Conarock being surrounded by National Forest land. What happens on the National Forest is going to have a substantial effect on what happens in the community of Conarock.
You want 10 with no onions? Oh, you want the works? Uh-huh. Less tomato, mayonnaise, and onions. I got you. 10 of them. Got you.
How much is half and half?
Third. That's 48. Now, the town of Conarock used to be a right nice little town, but after Hassingers moved out, they started tearing down the buildings, and houses kept getting less and less and less, and now, why, it's down to a small thing, really. But I think bringing in all the recreation is really going to build this part of the country up. If they have a lot of recreation, somebody's got to take care of it, right? It's going to mean a lot more work for the people that's here. As far as I'm concerned, I'm in business. The more it comes, the better off we are. They're all going to spend some money. And then I like to see them enjoy the mountains. It's nice here.
We understand that there will be facilities for all these people. There will be roads, there will be motels and restaurants on private land. There will be the attractions on forest land, which these people will enjoy. We don't know if we will enjoy this, however. They may have a good time, but we live our lives here. And I just don't think it's going to be the same with 9 million people in addition to the folks that we have here. I think all of us here enjoy a slower paced life than a lot of people are used to. We don't do anything fast around here. not that we don't like these people that come here from the cities up north and along the seaboard, but it's just that when they leave, we're left with a lot of things that we don't like and that they didn't intend to bring with them. We're afraid we're going to be left with the trash, with vacant second homes, with gashes in the hillside where roads have been cut. We're left with jobs that were fine in the summer, but they disappear in the winter.
Our next stop coming up will be the Holiday Inn, Travel Lodge, Putt-Putt Golf Course. That's where we will be turning around, heading back down towards the Gatlinburg area.
As national forests attract visitors, they can also attract commercial development on nearby private land. Some of this is healthy, but if development is not controlled, it can have unforeseen side effects, threatening not just local lifestyles, but the values many people seek in a forest: clean water, wildlife, quiet, and a feeling of being away. In the East, national forests tend to be small and scattered. Public and private lands are closely intermingled and are easily affected by one another. By coordinating land use planning, this interdependency could be used to encourage healthy development and positive change. East and west, there is a constant interplay between national forests and their surroundings. National forests don't exist in a vacuum. They're a productive resource in a complex and changing society, but they're also a vulnerable resource. As the nation grows and changes, competition for the forest intensifies. Our decisions about the use of these lands will affect their value both now and for generations to come. It's important that we confront these issues, that we talk and listen and find common ground. These forests are a vital national resource. Managed with care, they will be a resource in time.
We're just temporary users of this ground. And from time to time, there's new owners. And that's the thing with public lands, really. The public lands represent everybody's needs and everybody's desires of the ground. And I think that they represent the future in a way